A Latte Perspective with Kathy Durant and Juliana Tompkins, a mother-daughter podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us at A Latte
Perspective,
a multi-generational conversation.
Yes. Can you tell I'm nervous here?
Yeah. So we just want to say welcome. And so Jewel, what are you drinking?
This morning I drank Bengal spiced tea.
Me too, but right now I'm drinking kombucha.
Well, right, I'm drinking water right now. But we figure since you're joining us for coffee every morning, we're going to go over maybe some different teas that we drink and give some recommendations and if we do or do not like them, and get some different teas out there. Maybe you guys can join us in doing so.
Yeah, that would be great. We are contacting a local shop and seeing if they would be willing to help us out to give us more variety because, you know, we are creatures of habit and we tend to drink the same thing over and over and over again. But we also would like to have a mug of the podcast. So today's mug is
Hot Mess Express. Figure this was really good for today because I wasn't really expecting to do this, so I figure I can only go up from here. You're seeing the worst of me today. So I can only go up. We're doing good.
So Jules, tell me, why did you want to start our podcast on January 13th?
So, January 13th of 2005, my grandfather passed away. I was in college, and it was very difficult for me. I couldn't get home. There was some weather, and so it was hard being 2 hours away while my family was going through a really hard time and I couldn't get there. And then I had a lot of family come in that I hadn't gotten to see. But that was actually a very rough time in my life. But now I find that I want to celebrate him and I want to celebrate his life and what he meant to our family. So I just really wanted to showcase and use a date that meant something rather than just today, like January 6th.
That's great.
Okay. Edit that out, by the way.
So the next,
I get two drinks.
So as you can tell, we are definitely going to be transparent and vulnerable through this whole thing. So what we thought would be good for us is to discuss something relevant right off the bat when we start the podcast. So I'd like to bring up the Golden Globes last night and what's his name?
Ricky Gervais, which we didn't actually watch it.
We didn't watch the show. We watched his speech. And
Quite interesting.
Right. And go ahead.
Well, the whole thing, I mean, I watched the entire clip. It was like an 8-minute clip. I watched the entire thing. I like that he's completely transparent. He didn't care what anybody thought. He didn't care what he said. He just said it. He had an entire, you figure, a lot of celebrities, people who have a say, and you know, who listen to these people. And he had them in one room, and he was able to say what he wanted, how he felt, and things like that. But the main thing we want to talk about is at the end of his speech, he pretty much said to them, just come up, get your reward, don't give your political view, don't say anything like that, just thank your God, your family, and get off the effing stage. And I say that because that's what he said. But now, I agree with him because a lot of it that he put in perspective before that was that some of them, not all of them, because I'm from all in a category, some of them aren't as educated as, you know, they should be before they open their mouths. And they say things and they have a platform that they aren't really aware of that they have. And they're getting people to believe in something that isn't true.
Right.
So instead of using your platform that you have, think before you speak. Don't use it at this time. And, you know, this is an award show. It's not a political, you know, grandstand.
Right. And with that in mind, we wanted to talk a little bit about our platform.
Correct.
So we wanted to roll into the fact that when you tune into us, you will probably hear our political stance in conversations, but this is not that forum. That is not what we're doing. What we're here for is education. I want you to have our solemn promise that we will research every article we share, every opinion or expert that we will bring on into the podcast we will have investigated and checked out and make sure that they were legit. We will not
We won't try to push
follow.
our views. We're not going to, just because we have one view doesn't mean you're going to agree with it, but it also doesn't mean we're going to push what we believe on you. We want you to have your own opinion. We know, in just researching and doing this, everyone says you're going to have people who are for you and going to have great comments and going to be in agreement with you, but then you're going to have people who are very harsh and not agree with what you say, and we're okay with that. We just ask that you don't tear us down because you don't agree with us, because we're not going to tear you down and what you believe in. We're not going to sit here and say what you think is stupid. We're not going to sit here and say anything like that. So we just ask that you do the same for us and you don't tear us down. You want to share your opinion? Do you have, if we say, for example, one of our things is we like chiropractic care. If you don't, give us your opinion why. It's always a topic we can go back to or, whatnot. We'll have our chiropractor on to talk about it. But we just ask that you don't be negative towards us in that sense.
Pretty much we're going to have the stance of we agree to disagree. What we've lost in this country is that if you don't have the same opinion as me, that means I hate you. And when I was growing up, that wasn't the case. We had a debate club on purpose where you took two sides of an issue and you researched it and you debated it, and then conclusions were made by the people watching the debate by the stance that you took, but it was all public opinion. But at the end of it, the debating teams shook hands and everybody was friends. So we want to be that kind of forum where you understand that just because you disagree with us doesn't mean we hate you, doesn't mean that we have something against you. And feel free to have a different of opinion, because I'll stop learning the day I die. And so I'm still learning, I'm still researching, I'm not too old to learn. So that's where we're going with that educational part of our platform. The other part of our platform is definitely family, function or dysfunction.
As we have said, we are going to be and try to be completely transparent. Obviously, there are some things we have talked about being completely off the table and we're not going to talk about, and not because of us, but because of outside forces that we have decided to
respect their privacy.
Correct. So there will be things that aren't talked about. If you want to ask us in private, if you want to, have a conversation or whatever the case may be, and if we feel the need to answer or that we can answer, we will. But other than that, this whole podcast is just meant to figure out mother-daughter relationships, how they coexist, and how we can figure them out. We've already just since our original announcement, we've had some issues. There's been some adjustments, so we can't wait to dive into that. And talk about those. But that's what we're here for. So.
Because we can't be the only mother-daughter navigating these waters, and that's why we've decided that if we can, like Jules said this morning, when she uploads her video that she made this morning about the weight loss challenge, even if we can just help one mother-daughter pair have better communication, do better navigating the waters of this relationship, then so be it. And if we put ourselves out there and we're able to help even one, then it's worth and we are you need to know that we are extremely uncomfortable at times, being this open and transparent and being vulnerable and sharing the details, because let's face it, guys, social media, we share the cake and the ice cream and the flowers and the chocolates. We don't share the garbage, the dirty laundry, the bad, messy days, which is why we're not exactly all that. As a matter of fact, the baby spit up on me several times before we started taping. So I didn't change my shirt.
You got turmeric on her cheek too?
Yeah, yes. Apparently I got turmeric on my cheek from making my video.
She looks like she was in the sun for 5 years. Right, that one spot right there.
So pretty much what you see is what you're going to get. So the other thing
unshowered and unmakeuped.
Yeah.
Obviously, being mother-daughter and with this whole thing, we need to go back to the beginning. In a sense. Obviously, when you say go back to the beginning, it's usually about a relationship like a boyfriend-girlfriend, and hey, how did you meet? Well, obviously, we know how we met. So we're not going to go back to that far. Yeah. But we're going to go back to
a C-section after 24 hours of labor.
My head was too big. But actually, we can go back to the beginning and tell me I was a mistake. It's cool. No.
You want to start with that story? I can start with that story. So I was going in to have my tubes tied, and the urine test came back positive, and you weren't a mistake. You were an answer to prayer.
Right.
I had asked God that I wanted a girl, and I was going in to have my tubes tied, and it didn't feel right. I didn't have a peace about it. And I went in to have the urine test for that, and they said, I'm sorry, but you can't have that done for another 9 months because you're pregnant. So,
right. But of course, when Juliana hears that as a kid, what does a kid feel? That I was a mistake. I get it now. As a mom, I get it now. But when you're growing up, you're like, "Mom's a mistake," and mom says, "No, you're not." Well, that's not how I took it. But anyway, But I get it. Mom always wanted a girl, and my brothers and I are very many years apart. Unlike me with my kids, my two oldest are 17 months apart, and then I have one that's 6 years apart. But all of us are 11 years. Well,
when you were born, your oldest brother
was 11 years older than me, and Christian's 6 years older.
6 years older.
So I have two older brothers who are, there's quite an age difference. So we've never really hit the same life experiences at the same time or experienced things the same. We have very different life perspectives.
But you also had three different mothers. You know,
Right.
I was a mother at first at 20. So when my oldest son was good, I gave him ice cream and cookies and candy and stuff because that was a reward. And then Christian came along 5 years later, and he was reactive to sugar. So when Christian was good and I gave him sugar, we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I had to adjust the diet and the red dye and everything after 6 o'clock. And by the time I was 30 and I had Jules, I was very much into health and well-being. So I was reading labels, and she was fed. So I was a different
You
mom.
wouldn't know it now, though.
But
I knew the ice cream, I knew the cookies. It's okay.
Yeah. But I was a very different mom. So I have three very different kids, not just because of that, but because of genetics and all of that stuff, personalities.
Right. So going back to the beginning. So, mom and dad, I have never known mom and dad together. My mom and dad have been divorced since I was 18 months old. And so I always knew divorced parents. The every other weekend visits, the custody, which is again something we can't really go into, but so I lived with dad until I was 9, so I only saw mom every other weekend,
Christmas
which was
vacations,
hard, Christmas
2 weeks
vacations
during the summer.
Right, so things like that. So the normal divorced parent scenario, correct. So then at 9, I went and lived with mom, and saw dad every other weekend. And again, the same thing, it just kind of switched. And then at the age of 16, mom and Bobby decided they wanted to move here to North Carolina. Well, Juliana knows better than everybody else. And so,
because at 16 you know everything, and you're so wise beyond your years, and stubborn to a fault, and willful, and
nobody was going to tell me anything otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that.
But there's really two sides to it, and that's because one was I did see my dad every other weekend, and my dad, I'm a daddy's girl, so I didn't want to move and then not see him as often as I already was. And I was 16, I was a sophomore in high school. I don't want to leave and have to make friends for 2 years. It was hard enough for me to make friends. I'm already awkward. Like, I don't need, I already have a problem. So I don't need, to try and make friends for 2 years. And so my best friend at the time, Amanda, had decided to
Can I tell this story, this portion of the story? So Amanda and Joel got together, and Amanda told her parents that Joel's parents is okay with it if Joel stays here for her last 2 years of school, as long as you're okay with it. And then Jules told us, well, Amanda's parents is okay with me staying with them for the last 2 years. If it's okay with you, can we all go to lunch and talk about it? That was a very awkward lunch, because the parents realized very quickly that they had been hoodwinked.
I mean, we didn't see it that way, but anyway.
Of course you did.
But anyway, so it worked out. I was able to stay with her family for 2 years. I was, very grateful, and ended up going to college after that. So mom had moved down here, and has been here ever since. And when I go into college, again, Juliana knew better. Because I lived in Pennsylvania, I thought it'd be a really good idea to go to Penn State. I lived in Pennsylvania, why not, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out when your parents don't live there anymore, it's a lot more money. which I didn't know. My dad tried to tell me, go to a New York school because I live here and it'd be really cheap. Yeah, well, again, I knew better. And I was like, oh, Penn State education would be great. Not that it's not, but it cost me a lot of money. So, needless to say, I decided again to do something else. Things I've regretted in life, not listening to parents. Listen to your parents, people. Just listen to your parents.
Oh, wait. Could you say that again, please? Please, could you say that again?
I mean, we'll see.
No, seriously. In a couple of weeks, and when we do the next podcast, would you please say that again? Please.
To a certain extent. Okay, to a certain extent. No, so anyway, so I went to college, and I was in Pennsylvania for 4 more years, going back and forth to New York with Dad. Got out of college, went back to Dad's in New York, and stayed there, and then about... 23? I was about 23. It was 2009.
It was 2009.
2009. Here's a funny story. So 2009, I was working for a place in New York, and I had decided to move down here because I had had enough of New York, and I was like, I'm done. And so I was like, I'm moving to North Carolina. I don't even know what month I decided that, but in May of 2009,
it was April.
Okay.
That you called me and said, I'm coming down.
She remembers things I don't. She remembers things I don't. So anyway, so overview of this. So in May of 2009, I went out to a place in New York that does country line dancing and da-da-da. Long story short, met my husband. And within, I said, I'm moving to North Carolina. He said, okay. He came with me. And by August, we were here. So I known him for like 3 months. So we ended up being here for about 10 months. Before he got homesick, we went back to New York. So... in the last 34 years of my life, I have technically only full-time lived with my mother for about 7 or 8 years. 7 years, 7 months, and then 10 months.
And then 10 months.
Right.
Almost 8 years.
Almost 8 years, which is very unconventional for most mother-daughters. They're, usually together for at least 18. If not more, whatever. So this is going to be very interesting because... when you're sitting around now and you watch your mother and you realize you're looking in a mirror,
but you weren't really with her all that much.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary how much you can be like somebody when you haven't been around them and realize that those formative years, like, you're like, oh yeah, your years of becoming like, your personality and this and that is like the 12, 13, 14. You're like, no, it's like 21, No, it's like 12 and 13 because those are the ages I was there. And, yeah, I got it all from her.
Yeah, you act like that's a bad thing. Not all of it's a bad thing.
No, but because she makes faces and my husband would be like, oh my God, like, that's my wife. Or like she says something and, Bobby, say Bobby and her and whatever. And Bobby will look at me and go, yeah, really? Like, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. So now we've talked about how we're similar. We can also talk about maybe some ways we're different. So go right ahead.
Well, I was raised, obviously I was born in the 50s, and so I was raised in a completely different era with, rules and regulations. We had the 10 Commandments in our school, and we prayed every morning, and we had the Pledge of Allegiance, and we got paddled. When I skipped, a class in high school, I got to the principal's office, and he said, bend over the desk, and I got the paddle on my butt for skipping class. You would never have that today.
I wasn't born today.
Well, even in, your kids would never experience that.
No,
let's put it that way.
My kids won't. Right. But, yes, is that a difference? But by the time I got to school, it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Correct.
I saw a thing the other day that actually really, I think said a lot about my generation and when I was born, and that we're almost like the middle because we experience or know of what you guys went through because we heard that a lot growing up. I walked 10 miles in the snow to get to school. Yeah,
both ways.
Yeah, something like that. Or, when I was in school, I got a paddle. Yeah, okay, so like we got that like, sentimentality, but the parents now, and not me because I feel like I still raise my kids in a stricter sense. I don't completely baby them, but I don't completely discipline them. I'm kind of in the middle. But then there's the younger generation or people who are first-time moms at 34, where I have 3 kids at 34. But the ones that are now 21 and they're like babying them, or they're in the social age and they're on their phones, so they're not paying attention as much. Things like that. And I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying they're different. And so it's going to be different.
Right.
You know, and things like that. But you come from a time when it was super strict. And
Yes.
I come from a time when it was in like the middle,
Right.
where we still did have, you know, here's a great story. So the only time I was ever disciplined in school, was in, 7th or 8th grade? It was in middle school. It was in middle school, I know that much, because you had to, it was in middle school, I know that much. So I was in art class, and it was at the time when boys were just on that cusp of wearing their pants where they shouldn't be wearing them down past their butts, you know. Well, for whatever reason, I mean, God only knows why you do things. I decided to go up to a classmate and, you know, well, if you want to wear your pants that low, and I just kind of yanked them down, and, you know, I got in trouble. I went to the principal's office, and I got detention. Jules never did anything wrong again, because that was enough for me. But that was me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like being in trouble. I didn't like my parents being disappointed. I had older brothers who were doing that enough, getting in trouble. So I was a good kid, or at least, you know, that's what I say. And then Bobby says, no, you had an attitude. But that's all you gave you. If that's all I gave you, you know. But there's a difference.
Yes,
I mean, the difference is that...
attitude with a capital A.
Yeah. But the difference between us mainly is our views on how life should be, in a sense, you know. To Mom, in that generation, baby boomers, you kept your job for 40 years. No matter what the job, no matter what you did.
Oh yeah.
You kept your job for 40 years.
It was green marks on your resume the longer you stayed at a job. In today's day and age, if you stay at a job a long time, you're stagnant, you're not moving, you're not, you know, even if you're working for the same firm, but you've moved up the ladder, at least it's progress. But if you're at the same firm, I have friends right now that are getting ready to retire from Valspar for 46 years of employment. That's unheard of today, because Jules' resume shows multiple employers over the years, and that's not frowned upon. So just the attitudes about employment is different now.
Well, not that it's not frowned upon, because again, I'm in the middle. So yes, I think for the ones that are maybe the younger generation, it's not frowned upon. For me, it was always said not to do that because it does look bad. Because, you know, that meant you had, you know, commitment issues, or you couldn't stay, and you couldn't have longevity, and you were unreliable. So it really was looked on, upon badly. I mean, in my case, is it sometimes me? Yes. Is it sometimes I've moved, or, you know, I've never gotten fired, but, you know, something.
Life changes.
Yeah, you know, again, becoming a mom and having to stay home for a couple of years, things like that. Or being in the food industry. Being in the food industry, turnover's high and things happen, you know, but for me, and being in the food industry, I've touched on many different types of it. So I've actually got a lot of life experience that way. So it works out good for me. But like you said, you know, my mother-in-law just retired after 30 some years at West Point, you know. My dad was at the school for 20 years. You know, a lot of people stay long-term back then. And nowadays it's hard to find people who want to work at all, or, you know, or stay, you know, and don't have the work ethic, and they'll call out for any, you know, oh my, somebody tell me I gotta call out. Okay, you stubbed your toe. You know, it's like, it's very hard, but that's, you know, where we come into play. It's different because since moving here, I already had 2 jobs. Don't judge. Don't judge. The first one was a management job, and at the time I was just not willing to work the 55 hours a week and deal with more children. I didn't want more than 3, and I would have had 20 some, and I was like, no. So I just, it wasn't for me at the time. And then I was bartending, and I love bartending, and I love working with people and getting to know people and things like that. But I'm not willing to put my integrity in question. And so I just was like, you know, but I think there's probably 3 or 4 times I was coming here and going, I don't want to go. Don't make me go. And she'd be like, really? Like, come on. You know? And she's like, back in my day. You know? And so that's really why we were like, we have to have this podcast because, you know.
Yeah, back in my day, pull up your bootstraps, put your big girl panties on, and go to work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Just because you didn't like it, put your big girl panties on, get out the door.
And go to work.
Yes.
Where I'm like, so there we go. And I did it, and it was fine, but finally I had enough. So.
But I also think that another difference that we have is time management. Our personalities are our time management, our organization. I'm a planner, she isn't.
When it comes to certain things,
right?
For work, like it doesn't difference between me. When it comes to work stuff, yes, I am. When it comes to home stuff, no, I'm not.
Right. And so that's a difference that could be a conflict if we allowed it to be. We have learned since July. Well, no, we've learned since July that if we want Jewel here at 5, we tell her 4:30. We might have a shot of her being here at 5.
But that's not always my fault.
Oh, no. See, in New York, you got away with blaming Tommy.
Oh, wait. For example, we went to Mexican the other night.
Yes.
Who was there at 6:30 when I said I'd be there at 6:30?
You were.
And I had all 3 kids.
I know.
I had no husband, but I had no husband.
He was with us.
So, exactly, it's not me.
Okay.
I can be there on time because I know I have to leave the house by a certain time to get somewhere or whatever. Around here it's different because I don't know, like in Newburgh, I know how long it takes me to get from point A to point B. Here I don't know that just yet. So like it's like taking me times, like, oh, the house is 6:15, I'm there by 6:30. Nah, it might be 25 minutes. Okay, so, but most of the time, it's not me. Just saying.
The other difference that we have is that Jewel will come to me and she'll say, Mom, Faith is driving me crazy because she leaves her stuff. As soon as she comes in the door, she leaves her stuff. I tell her to hang it up every single day. She doesn't hang up her book bag. She doesn't put her shoes away. She doesn't do that. Okay. Jules comes here several times a week. And the other day she came, she took off a sweatshirt and a sweater. I found that in the bedroom, in the back bedroom. She made cereal for the baby. The cereal was on the counter. She didn't take that home. And then she looks at me and she goes, I don't understand why Faith is the way she is. And I'm like, babe, you want the mirror? I'm trying to help you out here. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But I don't want to admit it. So another way that we are different is
body types.
Yes.
I take after my mom's mother, who was tiny. I'm the oldest of 6, but if you saw a picture of me and my 5 siblings, I'm the runt in the center. I'm 5'3", and
I do that. Just saying.
Yeah, then you got to use a step stool for everything.
I do to get in my bed. Anyway,
well, yeah, that's another story. So basically, our genetics, I take after my dad's mom, but my mom was big. Her family is hefty, and my dad was 6'7" and like 250 in his trim weight as a state trooper. So how I ended up with small boned is one thing. However, I have always struggled with my weight. Since I was a kid, I was chubby. If I went and said something to somebody about I lost weight, they tell me to turn around. I could find it back here, or they would. My nickname was Crisco, fat in the can. So I've always had weight issues. I know, right? I know, right? So
I guess better than Lulabelle.
Well, thanks. Yes. Oh yeah, had to slide that right in. Yes, the nickname as a kid was Lulabelle. That's fabulous.
Thanks, Uncle Brian.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
That was for you, Uncle Brian. Yeah. So anyway, I have always fought with weight issues. I have to watch everything I eat, and I have since I was a kid. But I also love food, and I rebel on many occasions, and I have in the last 6 months. I am a comfort eater. I am a stress eater, and the only time I don't eat is if I'm really upset about something, and therefore I don't eat. But if I'm just mildly stressed, moderately stressed, or I'm celebrating, it's food.
Don't you just hate the people that can eat and not get a dang thing? Or when they're stressed or whatever, they don't want to eat. Can you just like...
No, this is what kills me is I have a girlfriend who says, I have to think about eating. What do you mean you have to think about eating?
I have to stop thinking about eating.
She'll say to me, she goes, I can go all day long. And then I realized I haven't eaten all day because I didn't think about it and I wasn't hungry.
I get done with breakfast and what's for lunch.
What do you mean the night before I think about what I'm going to have for breakfast? breakfast.
There was M&M's in the cabinet, like the ice cream in the freezer drawer. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I can't.
Call me. Yes, come eat me. Yes,
yes. So good.
So
right to the hips.
The problem is that now that I've gotten older, if my metabolism was slow when I was younger, which it was, it has snail paced itself to backwards now that I'm older. So the only way that I can even attempt to lose weight, I can calorie count all I want, I can do the fitness apps and the macros apps and all that stuff. The problem is that I have to add exercise. If I do not get 150 minutes of exercise, cardio plus strength training in a week, and that takes 6 weeks to kick in, and today was my first day. So I have 5 weeks and 6 days to go before my metabolism speeds up a little bit. But I haven't even started. But that's the problem with me, is if I don't exercise, I'm done. I was with a nutritionist and lost weight, and the only way that happened was with exercise. So the issue now becomes that my schedule was very full to start with, and Jewel moved here, and so now we're readjusting our schedules to have family time and babysitting time and mother-daughter bonding time, which we haven't had, we're trying to make up for. And for the last 6 months, I have put gym to the back burner because this was very important to me. This bonding with Brinley, because she got here when she was 6 weeks old.
Well, this is the first grandchild.
That we're face to face. We'll get into all that. We'll keep it away. So you go ahead.
Right. So, as much as I love to talk about Brinley, so Mom had, some big people on her side, but so did Dad. And so none of us are tiny. We're all big boned and bigger people who love to eat. And neither of my parents, I should say that. Dad exercises, but Dad plays racquetball, or he fishes, or he hunts. It's not like hey, let's go for a run, or something like that. So it's not like the normal athletic type. And Mom's never been athletic type. Actually, growing up, Mom would get like a spurt and go, we're gonna get healthy, and we'd go walk to school for a day. Yeah, that got me somewhere. Thanks.
Yeah.
That didn't do anything.
Or we'd go run.
Or we'd go, or no. Monica's having exercise class. Let's go. And we'd go once. Okay, what happened, Mom? My schedule. She gets busy. She was a hairdresser at the time. She got busy.
On my own salon.
So it wasn't terribly her fault, but at the same time, how does one learn to keep to it?
But I want to camouflage exercise.
So
we did line dancing lessons for a long time.
I don't remember that. But whatever.
But we did. See, to me, that's exercise. What I remember. That's exercise disguised. I can live with that.
What I remember, going way back to the beginning here, what I remember is Mom's a really good cook, and Jules liked it. So, Mom, being in the situation we were in with having been divorced and through everything we had been through, I'm pretty sure Mom had done some guilt parenting.
No.
And when Jules said she wanted more, Mom let her have it.
No.
And then I got a big butt. So, unfortunately, to say the least, Jules was no portion control. And then I'd come home from school, and I'd be by myself. My favorite go-to snack was a milkshake. And Mom would be like, where'd all the ice cream go? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Jules was having a milkshake every day. I'd go home, and I'd throw some ice cream, throw some milk in there, throw some ice in there. You got a milkshake. Do that every day. Yeah, you know where your size 14s are coming from. But all joking aside, it became a comfort thing. It became my best friend. And I'm 34 and it's still my comfort. It's still my best friend. It's still, my go-to. And if I'm having a rough day, I don't smoke a cigarette. I don't,
drink alcohol.
Take drugs. I don't drink alcohol. Well, recently I have, but no. But I try not to eat. I'm like, that's not an alcoholic beverage because I'm trying not to eat. But
still calories, still carbs, still sugar.
I know. But no, I'm not really. I'm really not. I promise. I'm drinking on the job. But it's a go-to, and it's a comfort, and and it's a people pleaser. Like, if and I don't know how to say, like, I'm not saying like my husband's mad at me so I want to make him happy. It's just hey, like, I know that if I bring him home something, he's going to be happy. Like, if I bring him home ice cream, he's going to be happy. If I bring him home
Oreos.
a sandwich, Oreos, something like that, like, he's going to be happy. And, it's an extra hug, and it's an extra this or that, and he's going to be happy. So, like, it becomes not only a comfort for me.
Not to have it, give it to them and not eat it?
Oh, God, I can't be in my house.
Right.
Oh no! If it's in my house, I'm eating it. Like, so we've come to the decision not to have it in the house, which of course for my Faith is not okay.
Oh, poor Faith thinks her throat's been cut.
Yeah, she's a rail, so I mean that's all she eats. But so and we are obviously two different body types. Mom is of the smaller stature, and I am not. I have big bones. So when I was in college, I lost 45 pounds from having a gallbladder issue. That was great. I could eat ice cream all I wanted.
She was sick as a dog and only weighed 140 pounds.
Yeah, but you could see my bones.
Stuck out.
You could see, I was ill.
She looked anorexic.
Unlike, women who they say, the average should be like 120 pounds, and 5'5" or whatever.
Planet?
The statistics, whatever. I don't know.
No.
But anyway, like, average women should be a certain size. Well, I can't. I mean, you will see the weight, or I'm not really happy about it, but you will see how much I weigh. I have about probably 60 to 80 pounds I have to lose. Mom.
I have 20 to 25.
Right. I'm 4 times as much.
You're also half my age.
Not the point. Not the point. I shouldn't be twice your size. Just saying. Okay.
You do not weigh 300 pounds.
No, I don't weigh 300 pounds. No.
Okay,
I didn't mean exactly twice your size. I just meant, in the grand scheme of it. No, I mean, okay. Let's say one in a half. Or, can we not really? Okay. Not really. We've now gone over so much stuff.
For our first session. But we have so much more to share.
I certainly hope we can keep you entertained.
Yes. Because obviously we entertain ourselves on a regular basis.
Yes.
But we're hoping that our interaction, transparency, and the subject matters that we will be covering will be something that you'll want to subscribe to and be habitual about, doing on a regular basis.
Keep you entertained.
Yes.
And it won't always be this fun. I mean, today we've actually had quite a bit of fun today. We've laughed. We've been, funny and stuff. We haven't been too serious. I think we've kind of tried to keep it a little more lighthearted today, being our first one. We will dive into some of the issues that we've had and gone through, because that's the whole point of this. So that'll be a little bit more,
We're not going to say it's going to be dark, but it's going to be heavy.
Obviously,
the issues of life are not always lighthearted. They're heavy, and we're going to be exposing some of the adjustments that we've had to go through in the last 6 months.
We'll be crying. There'll be tears.
One of which is parenting versus grandparenting, and where's that boundary, and where's that draw? If Jules and Tommy are in the house, and Bob and I are in the house, and the kids need discipline, who's doing it, when are they doing it, and so that's a topic that we're going to get into, and one that we just recently are having,
which will be our next podcast.
Establishing.
Yep.
So that's definitely something
to look forward to. But so the rest of what we're doing now is we will be having a Cooking with Kathy Facebook Live. You're not doing Facebook Live?
No, I'm going to video it and record it and then put it on the website and then put it to social media. Facebook, Instagram, and are you going to put on YouTube or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything will be on YouTube for the most part. Instagram will have clips. Facebook will have once it's uploaded to YouTube, then it'll get uploaded to everything else. But because we're going to use our main platform as YouTube for for that stuff, and then they can do both.
So I'm going to be this particular one. I'm going to be transforming what you would consider a decadent, fatty kind of recipe into something more healthy, obviously because of our weight loss challenge. And then I'll continue to do that. And if you want to message us on what kind of recipes you want to see me remake, that would help me a great deal, because I know what my tastes are and I know what my go-tos and what I've modified before.
Like, what are your favorites? Like, I know a lot of the times they're like enchiladas.
Right.
Oh, I love Miss Enchilada. But you can't have the flour tortillas. So, or like the really fattening cream of mushroom soup, whatever it is, cream chicken soup, whatever it is. So you have to find the ingredients that you can modify into there. So like save the zucchini as the tortilla or, whatever. So things like that. So send us a recipe that, maybe we can try and modify. That maybe you haven't found a modification for yet, or,
Give us ideas,
whatever.
because I definitely want to do the cooking segment at least once a month. And I know what I've transformed already before the 6 months ago when I fell off the wagon. I didn't just fall off the wagon. I drug it into the woods. I put gasoline on it and I burnt the sucker. So therefore,
right there with your sister.
Right. So I have those that I already have that I've modified, and I will go back to now. But for those of you who have never modified a recipe and you're used to mom's lasagna, well then send it to me and say, hey, can you remake this? And then I'll let you know when we're going to modify that recipe, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm not very good with the cooking. She's much better than I am, so I will not be cooking. You don't want that. I'm good with the basics. I always, in college and, when I first got married and everything, like, Mom, how do I make the chicken enchiladas? Mom, how do I make the spaghetti sauce you make? Mom, how do I make this French onion soup? How do I make it? I have no idea. But then Pinterest came along. That helped a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't get as many phone calls.
That Pinterest helped a lot.
Yeah, I didn't get as many phone calls.
You get keto on there. And again, everybody follows different diets. So actually we can, say something about that too. I'm not following anything in particular. We're going to see what works for us at first and then kind of fix it, tweak it, whatever we have to. I know at first I'm just going to kind of try to cut out the sugars. You're going to see me sweating. You're going to see me like, But I'm going to cut out the sugars. I'm going to cut out the carbs. And I'm going to try and survive it. And then I'm going to just
Mom may be drinking to survive it, her withdrawal from sugar. Just saying.
Yeah, you might want to write my husband. You might want to just tell him.
Hang in there, buddy. It's only temporary. This too shall pass.
So,
okay, this too shall pass. But yeah, so I'm going to go back to what I know works for me, and which is no wheat, no sugar, and very little gluten. So that's...
We'll let you know how we do.
Yeah, we'll let you know how it goes. And obviously, I'm going to be weighing in once a week. So therefore, it's going to be out there on social media once a week. Oh, I need the accountability.
I mean, I want accountability, but let's do like either every other once a month, please. I can't.
You can do.
This is stressful enough.
You can do what you want, but I need like the accountability. Like if I went to a nutritionist, I was weighed in every week.
Oh,
I got all these people
watching
me.
Can I go eat a cake now? You're stressing me out. I need a donut. I'm going to go to Dunkin' in a second. I give you a big old fat Krispy Kreme donut.
Okay.
No.
All right. So if you liked any of this, then please follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Go to our website.
Everything is under A Latte Perspective.
Correct.
So we have done the website, Facebook, Instagram. We have not done Twitter. Our opinions, we'll just keep to ourselves for now. So we're not gonna do Twitter right this second.
Right.
It's been a lot just to get these other ones off the ground. But we will be doing podcasts at first twice a month. We've decided. So
yeah, because that was stressful too.
Yeah, this has been a lot.
And you're taking away food, and then you're adding more stress.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. No. Twice a month, guys. You could have twice a month to start with.
But we'll be entertaining you with other stuff.
Oh yeah, we'll be on social media for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna try and fill our days so that we're not boring you. We don't do enough now as it is. So
yeah, duh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, follow us Instagram, Twitter. We're gonna try and get on iTunes for podcasts, and anywhere you can listen to a podcast, we'll be trying to get on there. Again, we're new, so this is gonna be you're riding along with us.
Not to mention the fact that you need to share.
Yes,
tell your friends about us.
Everybody about us. If you liked us, share it. I don't care if you didn't like us. Share it, please. We need to get out there. No, honestly, you know what? It's not about, we're not doing this for fame or fortune. We really just want to share what we have to say, the love that we have between mother and daughter, the differences and the all this relationship that we have going on here. And I think, there's people out there that can learn. And honestly, I don't think it's even just for them. To be honest, I think it's for you and I, because
absolutely
we need, we need to drop walls. We need to,
healing.
One thing Mom and I have talked about that we're very alike is that we build walls and we build boundaries and we tend to not love as fiercely or as hardly as we can to certain extents because of how we were raised or whatever.
Right.
So I think this is going to be interesting.
So if you're interested in seeing how to break down the walls so that you can love deeper, better, fiercer, then come and turn into our podcast, because next time we're going to have a latte more perspective.
Have a great one.